So you're the second person to ask me about pollen, so I'm going to do a proper video about that now. Dried pollen, or honeybee pollen, is a product that we collect from bees. We harvest it by putting a smaller entrance on the hive with a little bucket underneath. What happens is the bees squeeze through the little hole and it knocks the pollen off the legs and it goes into the bucket. We then dry it off to make sure it doesn't go off and go all mouldy because it is full of yeast cells, and then we package it up and sell it. So, does bee pollen help or alleviate hay fever? In short, no, not at all. As I said in my last video, honeybee pollen is usually collected from flowers. The stuff that affects us with hay fever is usually to do with trees, grasses and weeds. Things that pollinate using the air. Honeybees can go to these plants and collect pollen from them. Like, it is edible for the bees and they will collect it. But the chances of them doing that when there's so many flowers about, not very often. It'd have to be in a place where there's not very much pollen at all for them to really go to those trees. So maybe very early spring when there's not many flowers about, something like that. So is pollen actually worth buying and eating? Yeah, it's actually quite good for you. So pollen is what the bees use as their protein source. Nectar and honey is the carbohydrates. So that's how they, survive. And that directly translates to us randomly. So pollen actually has a really high nutritional value for humans as well. Up to 25% of it is protein. There's amino acids in it, there's vitamins in it, which are B complex ones in particular, so they're pretty important. We've got minerals in there, we've got enzymes, and we've also got antioxidants as well. Now, it wouldn't be me if it didn't include some sort of fact check. So the antioxidant activity may help oxidative stress, but there are no studies into this, or no proper studies, just preliminary ones. The anti-inflammatory effects that pollen supposedly has, it's been suggested that it does reduce inflammation, but these are only animal testing that's happened. There's some immune support testing that's been done, and it might have a mild immune boosting property, but it's not like a full-on one. It's nothing to write home about. And some athletes have made some anecdotal statements saying that it's helped their health and their energy levels. There's also a statement saying that it helps women get bigger bazungas. Believe that if you want to. I certainly don't. So with all those positives, especially the bazunga one, are there any problems with pollen? Yes, there are. So I have a load of stickers on the back of my pollen packets that I sell, saying that if you have any heart conditions or any allergies to pollen or asthma or are pregnant and breastfeeding, do not take pollen because it can affect your body. And allergic reactions can be very serious. I'm surprised that this isn't a law thing. Like honey has don't give babies under 1 honey. But for the most part, pollen is unregulated, so people can just stick normal labels on just saying bee pollen, and that's it. So take 1 grain per day for about 2 weeks and see if you have any nasty effects. If you don't, then you can up the dose, maybe 2 or 3, and then after a few weeks of that, then you can go for a teaspoon, etc. I've seen some restaurants on TikTok and Instagram pouring pollen over pizzas and salads and in yogurts and stuff like that. Doing this to new customers is really dangerous. I would not do that. And it doesn't really taste nice as well. So pollen isn't super nice tasting. So I don't know why they're doing it. They're doing it to make it look fancy, but they're actually putting the customer in a risk state because they have no idea if they're allergic to pollen or if they're pregnant, etc., especially if it's early stages. So just be careful with everything that you eat, just especially when it comes to stuff like this. So in summary, for hay fever, eating dried pollen isn't going to do anything. It might actually make things worse if you're allergic to stuff. In general health, it's nutrient dense, so potentially beneficial in that statement. There's loads of other possible benefits as well, but there's no real studies into pollen. As I said, it's quite unregulated. That being said, it's no substitute for proper nutrition and medicine. It's useful as a supplement if you want to sort of boost your protein intake and get some more minerals and stuff like that in there, but it's not going to change your health overnight, unless you're allergic to it, because that'll change your health, I guess. Anyway, I hope that cleared things up for you and wasn't too waffly. Right, I'm going to bed. Night-night.